Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of your YouTube channel. Sorry there, unfortunately our stream did crash. We did have a little bit of a lobby glitch, us commentators, so unfortunately we have missed the last few laps or so of this race. In those last few laps, by the way, we have unfortunately seen that some sort of problem has befallen Timmats, and he is dropped to the back of the field. He's pitted for a set of soft compound tyres, so he is quite far out of the running. Tin Can is now being caught by Tiag and Dari as well. Rikurik, meanwhile, is just passing Funky Chicken as we talk, and while we were talking about that as well, something else we've got to keep our eye on, that gap now between our net leaders that have pitted of Corin, Robin, Forza, Brendan, and our actual race leader of Tin Can is coming down quite quickly.
Yeah, it was nearly 16 seconds actually when they came out of the pits. It's now under half that, 7.6, and you'll be able to see on your delta it's coming down corner by corner. But in that top three, I think they are actually working together a little bit, because I did spot just before we came back on air, if Tiago finds himself getting too close to Tin Can, he's closing the DRS so that he doesn't disturb Tin Can into the braking zone. I think he's recognising Black Poma is round at turn 6. Awful race for him continues, but at least Tim Mats will have company now at the back of the field, and his tyres are cooked like an egg, so he's going to have to slow down a little bit and manage things. But yeah, Tiago doesn't want to disturb Tin Can too much. He knows Tin Can's quicker, he's just letting him get on with it and not challenging him, which is probably the wisest thing to do right now. And Chicken has lost another place. There goes J. Cole around the outside. He's at towards turn 15, and Chicken has looked like he's really struggled. He looked like he's out of place a little bit for his grid position, and he's had a few trains stuck behind him today, and he's lost another place there.
Yeah, a little bit bizarre for Funky Chicken. It's looked like he's started off a stint very well, and then midway through this stint he seems to lose pace on the tyres that he's on. We saw it on the soft tyres. We're now seeing it on the medium tyres as well. Brent has become detached from this battle and has no ERS to use at the moment, so he's struggling as well to keep up. They're being caught by RJDW in the Alfa Romeo, who's now 2 seconds behind and is closing in at a good pace at the moment. He's got good speed on those medium compound tyres that are a lot fresher than those that are pitted in front of him as well. Timats there, the fastest lap of the race at 33.7, as you would expect, but way out of position as to where he was earlier on in this race. We obviously didn't see what happened to Timats. He was right behind Tin Can, so unless he had a mistake by himself, or we saw that he maybe had contact with Tin Can, will be interesting to see. But for a championship protagonist such as Tin Can, you would maybe expect a little bit more pace from him at this point in the race. It does seem like at this point in the race he is now starting to hold up Tiago and Dari just a little bit, as there you go, Tiago's gone for the move down towards turn 13.
Yeah, Tiago had enough of just following Tin Can round, and I think it could be that Tin Can's just not happy on the tyres. But I think from having commented on him last season and this, I think Tin Can, where he lacks outright speed, it's normally his consistency. He just plugs away and gets results where necessarily the conditions aren't favourable to him in terms of speed, but he comes out with a result. I think that's his greatest asset. When it comes to, you know, outright pace, he's not on the level of Carwin, Robin, Brendan. His consistency is his greatest asset, and I think if some rain comes and he manages to win from there, I think that will typify that. But Carwin, Robin, Brendan are coming. They're 4.8 seconds off the lead now, almost under 4 behind Dari.
Yeah, they're really, really flying at this point in the race, closing in on these drivers in front. Keep an eye on Carwin, Rob, and that gap. We'll see how quickly it comes down. I wonder as well, is Tin Can possibly struggling with a little bit of damage from that earlier phase of the race? Of course, at the very first corner, he was rear-ended quite heavily by Raleigh JT at the first braking zone of the lap. So, wondering whether he is starting to feel maybe some effects of maybe some rear diffuser or maybe some rear damage that we, of course, can't see on our end, but maybe just a little bit of damage there could be costing him a bit of time, because Tiago's got ahead of Tin Can now, and Tin Can struggling to keep up a little bit with Tiago. Considering their quality positions, Tiago at the back of the field, setting a time on the softs, Tin Can 7th on the mediums, so qualifying pace would suggest that Tin Can would be the faster of the two, but at the moment, Tiago looks a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, Tiago looked nowhere in qualifying, didn't he? Even when he was pushing, he was comfortably on the back row of the grid. There didn't seem to be much going for him, but he's played this race beautifully, and he's picked his moment to overtake Tin Can. I think one mistake from Tin Can, he's out of DRS, but I can't help but think, I mean, it is starting to cloud up now. You'll be able to see that on your screens, but if it doesn't come soon, Carwin, Rob and Brendan are going to break through these guys anyway. They need to stay close to each other. They need to keep that DRS shield, as it were, to stop Brendan and Rob just tearing through them. So it's important that Tiago doesn't get ahead of himself here, and he keeps Tin Can at just the right distance to give him that little bit of buffer.
At this pace, Carwin Rob's only a couple of laps away from being in DRS range. As further back, Funky Chicken's got back past J. Cole, but these two, interestingly, Funky Chicken and J. Cole, now that they've started battling, they're struggling to keep up with Rekurik. Rekurik is pulling away from these two, despite both of them, I think, having DRS on that previous lap. Rekurik just gapping them ever so slightly in that Haas car, and he's just starting to creep a little bit towards Forza Brendan a bit further up the road. Brendan did lose DRS down the pit straight that time around, but has closed back in throughout the rest of the first sector. But Carwin Rob, the pace he had in that last lap, 1.3 seconds faster than our race leader at the moment. He'll be with on the back of Dari by the end of by midway through the next lap. In about a lap's time, he should be on the back of him. So he's nearly there already. It is clouding over, but I don't think that the top three at this point in the race maybe have done enough here to win this race on this alternate strategy, because Carwin Rob and Forza Brendan, when they get there, they're going to have so much more grip on those medium compound tyres, and Carwin Rob on top of that as well has a good amount of ERS to be able to attack these guys with.
It depends how much they feel like risking it, and Tiago's given up. He's coming into the pits.
Oh wow.
And Tin Can and Dari will not be happy with that. You just mentioned Carwin Rob's DRS. Dari has been biding his time nicely. He's got 80% here. But Carwin Rob and Brendan need to get through these quickly, because if they don't, well, you can see for yourself that Rickarich, Funky Chicken, J. Cole are going to be on the back of them. It's going to bring them back into play as Dari now passes Tin Can, takes the lead of the race. And Tin Can could be left very vulnerable here if Dari uses his ERS to make a break for it.
Yeah. Be a massive opportunity for Dari here to possibly pick up his first win. That would be an amazing performance from him. He struggled so much in recent races. Started a bit further down the field, but so far great ERS management for himself, and he now leads this race. Carwin Rob, though, only 1.6 seconds back from Tin Can, our two championship protagonists as well. Tin Can and Forza Brendan very close to one another on the track. It's getting closer and closer, but the cloud cover is getting big as J. Cole now with a time penalty. I think that's coming through turn 5. He's run wide in his battle with Funky Chicken, and that is him now on the back foot. He won't be passed by the drivers behind as it stands. They're too far back to capitalise, but it does mean that he's on the back foot in this battle with Funky Chicken and Rekurik in front of him. Carwin Rob only a 10th out of DRS on that lap, but all of a sudden the cloud cover has come over. I'm wondering if Tiago is kicking himself here, because it looks like we're not that far away from some rain.
I can only assume he had a reason for it, and if his wear was that bad potentially, but the medium should easily go to full race distance, let alone 18 laps. I'll say easily, just about do the full race distance, but we've only done 2/3 of that as of the end of this lap. But yeah, I think Carwin Rob is going to make light work of this. So if it was a trio, Tiago stayed in there, I think it might have been a lot harder for them. But even if the rain does come, I think Carwin Rob and Brendan have got too much here. It's hard. I'm wondering how far away we must be. We must be at least 5-10 minutes. Jeff must be saying for Tiago to pit. It can't be any closer than that. It is looking really murky out there, but it can't be imminent, surely, because Tiago pitted.
Possibly not. No, it's a weird one to call here. It's like you say, I don't imagine Tiago would have been struggling that much with tyre wear, because we know this track is not aggressive in terms of actual percentage wear on tyres. So for him to come in, maybe just isn't recognising that the rain is coming, or hasn't been able hasn't checked on the rain. By the way, further down, RJW has got up into 8th place past Brent, so Brent just continues to fall back in this race at the moment, really struggling. But yeah, I still find it an odd call from Tiago. Even if he was struggling a little bit with percentage wear, it's worth the risk to stay out, as Tin Can runs very wide there. Coming out of turn 10, Carwin Rob is on the back of the Ferrari man, who's derating down the back straight. It's not going to be an easy move for Carwin Rob. He's going to go the long way around at turn 13. Can he outbrake the Ferrari into the corner? Tin Can's going to try and squeeze him to the outside line, but Carwin Rob's just got too much grip, and he slides past down the inside of turn 14. Carwin Rob then up in second. Forza Brendan runs clean into the back of the Ferrari in front of him. I think just caught out by the trio in front of him, braking quite early. And yeah, Forza Brendan running into the back. I wonder if he's picked up any little bit of damage. I don't think he has by the looks of things. He's gotten away with it. But now Carwin Rob onto the back of Dari. This looks like it's going to be an easy move for the Alpine man down the pit straight, then opens his DRS through turn 1, and he's going to go to the outside line for turn 2. Nothing Dari can do. Carwin Rob making light work of the drivers, and he's back into the lead of the race. Forza Brendan can't do the same and is still at the back of the queue.
It's a very nice 1-2 there from Carwin Rob. double punch on Tin Can and Darry, and he's done a triple punch on Brendan, who's stuck behind the pair of them, and Brendan will be thinking, I think, very acutely in his mind of that Spain.
Oh, Tin Can's
lost it.
Oh my word! Wow, Tin Can then from third place, our championship protagonist, dropping the car all by himself, coming out of turn 4, and that is massive. Massive front wing damage for the Ferrari man. He's going to struggle around the rest of the lap and get to the pit lane. He's going to have to hope that the rain starts chucking it down in the next 30 seconds. Otherwise, he might be having to make 2 pit stops towards the end of the race. And yet again, the championship swings back in Forza Brendan's favour. Tin Can not here in France. And now Tin Can with a massive task in his hands to score any points.
I think that could be it for Tin Can's championship this race anyway. Because Brendan's going to have, what is he? If Brendan finishes second, he could have a 35-point lead at the end of this race, unless Tin Can drag himself into the points. He needs something here. He needs any hope. He needs Brendan to give him a mistake, because you can't afford to make that, especially when Brendan's on course for a second place. And I think that could even put Carwin Robb ahead of Tin Can as well. I'm not 100% sure there, but that is huge for Tin Can.
That is massive for Tin Can. Here comes Forza Brendan on Darry, then down the pit straight. He works his way past the McLaren man and back up into second position. Then Forza Brendan with a massive championship opportunity here against Tin Can. I'd like to say, if Carwin Robb wins this race, he will move 5 points clear of Tin Can in the standings, and then Carwin Robb would be the closest championship rival to Brendan. These last 2 rounds have not worked in the Ferrari man's favour, and it's not raining. He's going to have to go onto a set of slick compound tyres here. He's going to drop right to the back. Tim Atz, by the way, has had to make another pit stop, so he won't come out in 14th. He'll still be 13th position, but it's a set of soft compound tyres for Tin Can. He'll hope for either a late safety car or carnage in the rain to score him any sort of points in this race. What an absolute disaster for the man. We were just talking about his consistency. Such a shame for Tin Can. We might have cursed him, unfortunately, but that is such a massive blow to his championship. He's going to have some stellar rounds from here on out to bring himself back into proper contention.
He needs a Brendan run of races. He needs to get a couple of more wins under his belt. It started so well for him in Bahrain, but he needs to really rediscover himself. I wonder if he's just feeling a little bit of the pressure from Brendan behind it, from Carwin Robb as well. What he thought was one rival has quickly become 2, because Carwin Robb is laying a monumental claim here. Winner in Singapore, second place in France, and currently he's winning in Russia, and he's got 3 lap pressure tyres than Brendan. I can't see Brendan having anything to fight Robb with here. He's got a comfortable out of DRS range lead now. This is costly for Tin Can. He's not just out of the points, he's 20 seconds out of the points. As you say, he needs a safety car at the very least. Some rain as well, ideally. And Funky Chicken is back past Rickarich. I said how slow he was, look how much he was struggling in that train. Got past Rickarich, was compromised through 2 and 3. And here comes Rick now back up the inside towards 4, or through 4, sorry. And the Finn's back ahead into the podium. Funky Chicken offset a little bit there through the next corner as well. And J. Cole is keeping a watching brief on this. This battle for the podium is not over yet. But I say battle for the podium. If rain comes, Darry's looking... He's got a nice little leader for this battle, hasn't he? He's got 3 seconds in hand on them. That's more than... 4 seconds, sorry. So he's in a really good place, Darry. I don't think... I said this is a battle for the podium. I don't think he is. I think it's a battle for 4th right now.
Definitely looks like it, yeah. In the past couple of laps or so, since Darry's dropped out of DRS range to Forza Brendan, Rickaric's not really caught Darry by anything. It's been maybe a couple of tenths, but that's it. He's not closing in enough. Darry's still got solid pace on those medium compound tyres, and this looks like it could be a good turnaround for his season for Darry. It's been a really, really good race for him. He's the only one that started on that alternate strategy of starting on the mediums that's still really left running in this race. Every other driver that started on that strategy has had something go wrong, unless they're Tiago, who's just come into the pit lane for a pit stop. It's been a bit of an up and down race for a lot of drivers. Darry, though, has kept it consistent all the way through. He still runs 3.5 seconds clear of Ricuric. Is Funky Chicken going to go for another run here on the Haas down the pit straight? Is he close enough to make a move into turn 2 this time around and make the move stick? He's in the DRS, he's in the slipstream of the Haas man. He's going to move to the inside line. He'll brake a little bit earlier this time around. Ricuric tries to hold it around the outside of the corner. There's a little bit of wheel banging between the two of them, and J. Cole spun. I don't know if J. Cole hit the back of him, but J. Cole spun.
And it's raining.
Wow.
What a
Oh
huge
my.
corner that was. I was just about to say we were singing Darry's praises, but of course, if it doesn't rain, he's going to come out P11 when he pits, so he needed it to rain quickly, 5 laps left. I'm not sure what to make of that one. I think that was Rickert just pinched Funky
J.
Chicken
Cole
a
spun
little
again.
bit. And J. Cole's round again.
Oh,
and
Tiag!
Oh, Tiag's out.
That is heavy contact with the wall. He's still going in this race. He's not retired from the race, but that is his front wing gone. That could be Tin Can back into that. Will likely be Tin Can back into the points. Tiag has got to get going again with that damaged front wing, but I think he might have just been a little bit spooked by J. Cole being parked in the middle of the road, and he just lost the car and went into the wall in the process. But that was a really messy corner. Rikurik trying to hold it around the outside. You've got to say, Funky Chicken maybe had that move done. Rikurik tried to stick it around the outside, but we know it's difficult to run side by side through that kink on the exit of turn 2. Maybe Rikurik needed to back out of that one, and it's caused J. Cole to spin in the process.
Yeah, I think Rikurik should have recognised sooner that was lost and then just hoped for something into turn 13 or even turn 2 the following lap. But for now, he is ahead of Funky Chicken. I had a poor camera angle. Did J. Cole actually hit the back of either of them, or did he just drop it in the shock of seeing the cars collide in front of him? Because to me, it looked like he just dropped it trying to take avoiding action. It didn't look like he actually hit them.
I didn't quite see myself either. I was on board, unfortunately, with Rikurik at the time, and as I switched to J. Cole, he was facing the wrong way, so didn't quite catch that one in the end. That is a shame to see, and that's dropped him down into 10th position, with that penalty still looming over him as well. He was another one that's quite high up in the championship standings, third in the championship standings coming into this race on 62 points. This has not been a good one for him, as Tiag has retired in the pit lane then. So that is our second retiree from the race. That will put Tin Can back into the points, but it is only the 1 point at the moment for the Ferrari man. That now promotes IJGW then up into 6th position in the Alfa Romeo, and Brent back up into 7th place. These guys are clear of the rest of the pack, which is headed by YHYY. The pack now very, very spread out. The only driver that has DRS on the track is Funky Chicken, and Funky Chicken and Rikurik have been pretty much inseparable this entire race. Funky Chicken trying to find a way through. These guys are now starting to close in on Darry, and interestingly, the rain's not coming down hard enough for the Inters to be viable at this point in the race. I'm wondering whether this isn't going to play to Darry's favour, because as it stands, it doesn't look like we're going to need the intermediate tyres.
No, I'm just looking at the sector times. It's only a few tenths they're dropping off. Darry's come in. He'll have to hope this is the lap the track changes, because he's going to have to claw back 23 seconds, which, you know, if it does change quickly, you can easily pull back 9 or 10 seconds a lap by having the right tyres. But I don't think that is the case. I think it just came too late for Darry. And here goes Funky Chicken and Rikurik trading places again. No one else is coming into the pits, is it? No, it's just Darry and Funky Chicken. Oh, we went a little bit deep there into 2. Here comes Rikurik through 3. Chicken takes a slightly wide line through turn 4, and here we go. Is Rick going to send that back? No, he's not. He doesn't fancy taking Funky Chicken back on that occasion. But yeah, I think Darry, it just came too late for him. I think he's missed his window. We'll look at how the gap evolves, but he's going to need 8 or 9 seconds a lap. And look at that, on board with him through turn 2. He had no stopping power in that McLaren. I think he could end up falling victim to his teammate here, and if he's really unlucky, even Tin Can could catch him. He needs the track to change rapidly.
Yeah, he really does, but by the looks of the rain, the intensity's not really changed. That is such a shame for David. That is the risky play, though. With the strategy that he was on, you risk the rain not being heavy enough for the conditions to change to intermediates, and at the moment, at least, with only 2 laps to go when Corin Robb crosses the line, it isn't wet enough for intermediate tyres. And Corin, if Darry was still out and had kept going, the end of lap 26 is the last feasible time he can pit, otherwise he would be disqualified from the race. So he would only have an extra lap to go, as Tin Can now with a time penalty on top of everything else. That's not going to help him if Darry is able to keep within 3 seconds of him. And there you go, Black Poma is already past 3 seconds in half a sector, and through goes his McLaren teammate. Darry then down into 11th place, what could have been a brilliant podium position on an alternate strategy. For now, at least, looks like it might not even be it might not be more than 1 point at the moment, but Black Puma in front there, wiggling all over the place on his medium tyres. It looks like now, as we get halfway through lap 26, that it's just starting to change.
If I was Darry, why didn't he just go for the softs? I would have just stuck the softs on. He would have known that it wasn't wet enough for Inters. Just go softs. I think the advantage would have been huge as Rick and Funky Chicken continue their little duel out front, Carwin Robb is really checked out. He's 4.5 seconds clear now of Brendan. He's pulled 3 seconds since they cleared Darry. But yeah, it's changed, but it's just changed too late for him. He'll be quicker. He might get his teammate back. He might even get J. Cole back. And we've got, speaking of J. Cole, he's out of the race. He's dropped it on the exit of turn 4. And that caps a miserable race for the Mercedes driver. And he is out. But it brings Tin Can up another place, which could be crucial for him later in the season. And it brings Darry up another place as well.
Yeah, doesn't it? Bring Tim Atz back into the points as well if he doesn't drop the car coming out of turn 2. But I think J. Cole there proving that the conditions are really, really difficult. We're right on the brink of intermediate conditions with a lap to go. Only 1 lap to go in this race. At this point, it's not worth any of them really coming in for intermediates. They've just got to stick this one out. Carwin Robb then around the final corner on an old set of medium compound tyres on a wet track. What a way to finish off this race. Carwin Robb's just got to bring it home and be cautious. J. Cole's already dropped the car through turn 3, proving how difficult it is. Black Puma's pace is back up to where you would expect on his intermediate, so I don't think Tin Can is going to catch the McLaren at this point in the race. Carwin Robb then will ride with him through turn 3. Just see how much he has to back off through this corner. Look at that, half throttle the whole way through the corner, not pushing whatsoever. Forza Brendan as well doing the same, lifting off through the corner. Everyone driving incredibly gingerly now, making sure they don't crash. This is a real test of these drivers' skill to finish this race.
Yeah, it's about the nerves. It's how much bottle you've got. You just don't want to make a mistake. And when you've only got 1 lap, as Brendan, he has a big moment out of turn 6 there. You don't want to risk it because you're just thinking, you're overthinking every apex, every braking zone, every turn, and you're just waiting for the track to snap at you. I'd say it's much more a test of nerves than it is of skill, and the fact it's just 1 lap as well. It's an awful situation to be in. I wouldn't want to do it. I've done it at Shanghai last season in D2. It was not fun, and we've got someone else going slow. That Black Puma is round at the exit of turn 4, so and his teammate's going to go through on him there.
Yeah, Black Puma loses out then to Darry. Darry back up into 9th position then. That is Black Puma's 3rd spin of the race, unfortunately. It's been a bit of a disaster for him as he's off the road yet again at the very next corner. He's at risk of being caught by Tin Can. 2 corners to go though for our race leader Carwin Robb. It's been yet another dominant performance. He's really found his stride in these last 3 rounds. It was a win 2 weeks ago. It was a win it was 2nd place last week, and it's another win in Division 3 for Carwin Robb. He picks up the Russian Grand Prix. Our championship leader, Forza Brendan, though, in 2nd position, will extend his championship lead to about 30 points at the end of this round. That has played beautifully into his hands, and for the 2nd week in a row, Rikurik will finish in 3rd position in that Haas. A brilliant drive from him as well. He will just beat Funky Chicken, those two inseparable all race, but the Haas man will come out on top, and RJDW roll round off the top 5. What a crazy race it was. DRS has only just been disabled as the race starts to finish. Darry will be next across the line. What could have been for him, unfortunately, is Tin Can goes steaming down the inside of Black Puma there at turn number 15 and gets the move done. So that will be 3 points for Tin Can, but what a disaster it has been, unfortunately for him. The strategy at the moment wouldn't have looked like it was going to work anyway because of how late the rain came. But either way, that is a disastrous race for Tin Can. He crosses the line in 10th position only then. We just wait for Mats to finish the race. He'll be our last finisher and our last point scorer as well. Well, it was fair to say that it was a bit of a slow start to the race, but the end of that race was very, very exciting. And in the end, Carwin Robb continues his really, really good run of form.
I do love a little bit of wet weather when it's thrown in with a dry race. I mean, the medium starters, none of that didn't come off for any of them at all, did it? They all suffered in various ways. I mean, J. Cole, DNF, Tin Can, DNF'd on the line coming home in 10th. I think Trench was the highest finishing starter outside the top 10. He finished 8th, and he was the one that started on softs. And, you know, Darry, it could have been much better for him, but the rain didn't come soon enough. But yeah, a swing and a miss for everyone who qualified on mediums. In the end, it was those who started at the front. The top 4, as they started, are the top 4 that finished, but Chicken dropped down to 4th, and Brendan improved to 2nd. But what a drive from Carwin Robb. We've seen so many professional drives this season. Brendan at USA and France stand out, and now Carwin Robb again today and at Singapore. So many calm, professional, assured drives, and they are the drives of champions. I have no doubt that we are going to see a compelling title fight between these two, and hopefully Tin Can as well.
Yeah, are we seeing a change of guard a little bit in this championship? We will wait and see. But it's Karin, Rob, Brendan, and Rikurik, our top three. Funky Chicken and RJDW round off the top five. Then it's Brent, White Way, Trench, Darry, Tin Can, Black Poma, and Mats, your finishers and your point scorers today. J. Cole, Tiag, and Raleigh JT, the only three other drivers that took part in this race. All three of them retiring. Raleigh JT early on in the pit lane. Tiag after a strategy that didn't go his way and a late spin. J. Cole with a crash at turn 3. So much happened in that race that it's hard to keep up with. Of course, we missed a couple of bits of the race as well in the middle part, so unfortunately we didn't see what happened to Mats. A shame for Mats as well. Could have been a great race for him, but like we said with Tin Can, it looks like the strategy wouldn't have worked out in his favour either way. We're just going to get people into the party just to do some end of race interviews, so we'll wait and see what the top three want to say. But before we get talking to the top three, who's your driver of the day today, Jake?
I kind of want to say Darry for that monumental stint on the mediums, and he was just so unlucky with the timing of the rain. He did all he could really, but ultimately you got to give it to Colin Robb, haven't you? He did a fantastic race, one of those, as I said, professional, superlative drives that you can't really fault, and qualifying was monumental from him as well. So it's boring to go for the winner, but I think you can't not give it to him. So yeah, Carwin Robb definitely for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. And speaking of Carwin, Rob, we've got our top two from this race in the party, which is great to see. And we saw you two battle great last time out, the two of you battling for the win in France. This time around, though, Carwin, Rob, you are the man that wins out. Your second win of the season. How are you feeling after that race?
I'm over the moon, to be honest. I didn't expect it at all. Russia is just not my best track. Normally I pick up loads of penalties, but I just put an extra bit of practice in today, and I think that's why I was so consistent.
Yeah, that definitely played off, that extra practice that you put in. That was a brilliant drive from yourself. We'll start off with qualifying, though. I think the story of qualifying this season long is who is going to be on the front row alongside yourself. That's kind of how it's been all season long. And yet again, on pole position for yourself, 3.5 tenths of a second clear at the top. Of course, we saw a lot of drivers going for the mediums, but maybe because of the possible rain at the end of the race. Did you think of possibly doing the same strategy, or were you always going to start on the soft compound tyres?
Well, yeah, because it's obviously rain at the end when so I was gonna try and do what Tin Can and the McLaren did and just go to the end, but it was only light and it said 45 minutes until rain, so it might not have been enough, so I just stuck with the softs.
Yep, fair play. And in the end, it actually ended up being that way. The rain was just a little bit too light at the end of the race for those that started on the mediums to make that strategy work. Talk us through the pit stop at the start of the race. Of course, you stayed out a little bit longer in the end than Forza Brendan. Did get undercut by him, but you were quickly able to get back past. Was that a worry for you that Forza Brendan undercut you, or were you certain you could get back in the lead?
I wasn't expecting lap 5 pit stop because that was really early, but I was initially going to go for lap 10 or 11, but then I seen Funky Chicken and Rickarich go in, so I thought, I'll just go in the lap after. And then after seeing Forza Brendan right next to me, I thought, I don't even know, it's just undercut on Russia must be the way forward.
Definitely the way forward is a little bit of a surprise, definitely. And talk us through the rain at the end of the race. Of course, wasn't heavy enough for intermediate tyres until probably the last lap of the race, but by that point it's too late to pit for the intermediates. Was that last couple of laps a little bit of a scare for you, or were you just cruising to the end?
The last one was definitely scary. I nearly spun in sector 3. So, but the other ones, they were fine, they just felt normal. But yeah, I was definitely scared of losing the car on the last lap.
Yeah, you did an absolutely brilliant job yourself, and like I said, your second win of the season, your third podium in a row. Jake, have you got anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, just to ask, you mentioned that you thought it wasn't worth going for the mediums at the start because it was too late, it might have come too close to the end of the race. Was there a moment when you saw Tin Can, Tiag and Darry staying out that you thought, have I done the right thing here? Or you had to do a double take on your strategy and wonder if you'd made the right decision? Did you ever worry that you were going to end up behind those guys if it did come to intermediates?
Nah, because I just seen the delta on the left hand side coming down like seconds and seconds, so I just thought my strategy was definitely the one. And my mediums were on like 30 odd % by lap 20, So I was just thinking, there's no way they're just going to be struggling towards the end and I'll just catch them. But I did think of it at the start, because I seen Tin Can, he done like a 31 dead, I think, in quali. So it did tempt me, but I am really happy that I didn't do it.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
I've just got to respect the strat.
Definitely worked out in your favour, of course. And of course, after that second win of the season, you're now, I believe, second in the championship. So I think you'll be first to admit as well. The start of the season didn't really go your way, but in these last few rounds, you really have built up a lot of momentum. How are you feeling going into the next round of the championship?
Well, I haven't really looked at the calendar yet, so
Same.
I'll decide when I look at the calendar. But yeah, another thing to mention, catching Tin Can and who was the McLaren? Was it Dari, I think?
Yeah.
But that really played a big part in my win because they just held up. I knew Tin Can was Brendan's rival, so I thought that's not going to go well. And he's just going to keep Brendan behind for me, so I just keep pushing out the DRS. And then, yeah, I just want to thank Tin Can.
I'm sure he'll be great. I'm sure he'll be very thankful for that one. I think he'll take anything after that race, unfortunately. By the way, the next round is Austria, by the way, so how is Austria for you?
I like the track, but turn 3, the exit of that always is my nightmare.
I relate to you on that one, definitely. But thank you so much for joining us in the party for the end of the stream commentary as well. That is brilliant to see. Congratulations on your win. We'll move right on to our championship leader, Forza Brendan, who gets his 5th podium out of 7 races. Forza Brendan, ever the consistent man, but just today, unfortunately, not quite the pace to take the win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I tried my best. Yeah, qualifying was it was just awful. It didn't go well at all. I was doing really, really good lap times, like obviously, like in the practice sessions. But yeah, it just was one of those races where I just sort of had to accept like that this isn't going to be my day, even though I just wanted to hang in there really. Like until the end, so that was just all I could do in the end, because I knew after qualifying I was like, I just didn't feel comfortable for some reason. There was just something, I don't think there was anything wrong with the setup or anything. It was just myself. I just didn't really, I wasn't taking the corners in the right way. I wasn't really getting the exits that I wanted. So yeah, it was just one of those days, unfortunately. But that being said, I was only able to practice yesterday for the first time and rushed it today. So yeah, if that's what happens after just one day of practice, I will I will take it. I won't say no to a podium.
Yeah, and like I say, it's the 5th podium of the season on a real run of consistency at the moment. You're doing an absolutely stellar job championship wise. In terms of qualifying, were you thinking along the same lines of Karen Robb and thinking that the rain at the end wouldn't play that much of a factor, or did you think you maybe couldn't qualify well enough on the mediums?
Yeah, I think in a practice session, I don't know, 30.9 on the mediums, but I just knew that was never going to happen because I don't know. So yeah, I just wanted to keep it as simple as I could for myself because the races I've done the alt strategy, they just haven't gone my way. I really bottle qualifying when I'm on the mediums. So to me, it was never an option. I just wanted to get as high up the grid as I could because I knew, like, if I'm in the middle of the pack, like a turn 1, like it's going to be a nightmare. So I just wanted to get ahead up the field as much as I could. So yeah, it worked out. But like ultimately with the undercut as well, like I knew that was my only chance because like I sort of knew. So like I think Calvin had the undercut in Silverstone, and that was pretty powerful. So I kind of adopted the same as him, and I knew that I would never beat Carwin today. He was just too quick. But I knew if I was able to just kind of hang in his DRS, that would just kind of give me a chance. But as he said, obviously Tin Can and Dari were kind of the joker in the pack. I wasn't really expecting them at all because I just had no clue who was on track. All I was focusing on was Carwin ahead. But yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a great race. I really enjoyed the rain. Obviously, Carwin just basically flew off at the end, but Yeah, I just felt confident. I just wasn't really like I wasn't nervous or anything like that. I felt really, really good. So it's kind of annoying that he said he almost spun in the final sector. So that was that was what I was waiting on. But yeah, it's just one of those days, sadly.
Well, you say one of those days and it's still a second place finish, so that's a little bit ominous maybe for the rest of the season. Jake, have you got anything that you would like to ask our championship leader?
Yeah, speaking of you being championship leader, so far this season it's looked like you've been in a battle with Tin Can, and you've always had, at least as far as I've seen, you've had a natural pace advantage over Tin Can in qualifying and in the race. But now that Carwin Rob's the one behind you, and he's obviously rapid in qualifying, very rapid today, are you looking over your shoulder a little bit more nervously now than you would have been otherwise?
Of course, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think we both got off to very, very slow starts. So I think we've done really, really well to actually just try and stay as consistent as we can. It's kind of gone back and forth between the two of us, but definitely I think we both know we have to just do our best like every single race. But that's the thing today, kind of like when I was in the DRS of Car1, I honestly just sort of, I tried to take a page out of Lewis Hamilton's book when he was behind Max in a race. I think it was last year, and he just said he basically sat back and he was watching him. So I was trying to just sort of see what Car1 was doing differently to me and all that stuff, trying to read the lines and just trying to see where he was putting the power down and just trying to figure out where I was weakest towards him. So that's what I was doing the whole race pretty much. I just knew I couldn't beat him, but I knew I could maybe learn something. So that's just something I tried to do, and hopefully I can learn something from it and carry it into the next race. But it's going to be tough, definitely. Like, every race is crucial this season, and I said that with Tin Can. And it's unfortunate that he spun just ahead of me because he was on for a good result. But yeah, it's just, it's a long season. Like, anything can happen. Like as was the case in D4 last season. So it's going to be the same, I think, again.
Yeah, and speaking of that next race then, of course, Austria, the next round of the championship. How are you feeling about Austria? Is it somewhere you think you can succeed, or is it something you're not quite that excited for?
Yeah, I think it's an okay track. It's pretty simple, which I like as well, yeah, like, I don't know, I haven't driven on it on this game much, but it's a track that I definitely do enjoy racing at. It's just going to be another slipstream fest probably again, but those races like are ones I've tended to actually do very well in, so hopefully it could be the same next week. So, but no, yeah, like I'm just really enjoying myself at the moment. I'm just really enjoying my racing, and I feel really, really good on this build of the game. It's really coming to me more than last year's game. So I'm kind of at the stage where it's just like I don't really care about the track. As long as I can just be up there and keep just getting the results, that's my focus, really.
Sounds good. Sounds good for the rest of the season. Can't wait to see what's going to come of that. And of course, it's going to continue to be a great championship fight. You've got a healthy lead, but we've already seen that Carwin Rob has been on real form recently, so that's going to be fun to watch. Thank you so much for joining us in the party as well.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have Rukurik in the party, if I am not mistaken. No, we do not. So unfortunately, we cannot speak to our third place man today, which is a shame to see. But that is where we're going to finish off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Apologies, of course, for the lobby problem in the middle of that one. So this stream is split up into two for anybody that is watching this stream now that wasn't watching earlier on. Tune in to Divisions 2 and Divisions 5 in about 15 minutes' time, racing around Russia as well. And we will be back this time next week at 6:30 for round 8 of the season at Austria. So thank you so much. For myself and Jake, it is thank you very much and good night.